Thank you so much, Yvette, for those very kind words and for this lovely display that's in front of me, pictures of our members. I feel like you're in the room with me now, which is really great, because it was certainly when I finally had to let go of a vision that we got to get him here somehow. And I knew that, no, we're going to have to go virtually. It was one of the biggest disappointments for me, because I wanted, obviously, to have opportunities to talk to members during our last convention. But we had to err on the side of caution and move to a virtual presentation. And, you know, with that comes benefits as well. So I've often said, with the bad comes the good. And I believe this virtual convention will give us many, many opportunities to expand our good. As I was preparing for this week, I spent a lot of time reflecting and looking back at the last 24 years as your president. There have been many high points, even a few low points, and many achievements for RNU and our members along the way. And I thought, how can I condense 24 years into 20 minutes? Because that's what they gave me on the agenda. And I quickly realized that that's impossible. There's no way that I can do that. So instead of looking back at the past, and I'm assuming we'll do a lot of that tonight at the gala, this morning I'm going to look forward. No pun intended. I want us to look forward to the future. We've come a long way since our inception in 1974, and I am proud to have contributed to the past 24 years of our growth. RNU is well positioned for the future because of the successes of our past. We are a strong, trusted, respected union. That is what you will be building on as you move forward. So what does the future look like in terms of healthcare, our members, and our union? Well, as the minister started his comments this morning, you know, we're still in the midst of a global pandemic. Second waves of COVID-19 are happening across Canada and around the world. And over the last week, we have seen an increase in cases in our own province. Things will get worse before they will get better. I know, though, that our members will be there to fight this virus head on, just like they did during the spring and every day since. Today, though, we're more prepared. We know more about the virus, how it spreads, and how to treat it. Our supply of personal protection equipment is healthier. We have a joint statement on the use of PPE, and we are committed to ensuring that it is followed. And I was encouraged by the minister's comments this morning saying that changes, again, we're learning more with this virus, and changes could be coming in terms of the joint statement. Protocols and policies have been established. Later today, we will talk about our pandemic survey and protecting yourself on the front line. Tomorrow, we will debate a resolution that will guide RNU's work to ensure your safety remains the #1 priority. I want to say thank you to registered nurses, nurse practitioners, and all healthcare providers for everything that you have done to support each other, our patients, families, and communities during these difficult times. I know it hasn't been easy. I know it's taken a toll on you, yet you continue to brave the front line. If you were in the room today, I would be asking you to stand right now so we could give you a standing ovation. And I just want you to imagine that sound for just a second in your own homes, because you deserve a standing ovation. Thank you for being there for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians when they need you the most. I'd also like to thank Dr. Fitzgerald, Minister Haggie, and their team for holding fast and making tough decisions which are helping to keep our province safe. Now is not the time to let down our guard. We must follow the guidelines, wear our masks, maintain our distance, and make our bubbles smaller. As we continue to fight this pandemic, there are other critical pieces of work happening that will impact on healthcare and our members. The Premier has created an economic recovery team to grapple with the fiscal challenges facing our province. On top of that work, a task force has been created to develop a 10-year health accord. Their main goal is to reimagine healthcare, to build a healthier population here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Right now, we are one of the unhealthiest populations in the country, and yet we have the highest per capita spending on healthcare. Your incoming president, Yvette Coffey, will be a member of the Health Accord Task Force. She will be your voice, and I'm confident that Yvette will be a strong, powerful voice for our union. Having a seat at that table will help ensure that we are not on the menu. Later this week, Yvette and I will meet with Moya Green, who is leading the economic recovery team. One of our key messages to Moya and her team is on the importance of adequate RN staffing. There is a saying that many of you may have heard before, that how goes nursing, how goes healthcare. If you get your nursing right, then you're going to get your healthcare right. If you don't have your nursing right, then healthcare is not going very well. By investing in RN staffing, you'll get healthcare right. You will save money, and more importantly, you will save lives. These were the messages of our last public campaign. More full-time RNs will save a lot. Right now, our system relies on registered nurses working overtime, over 250,000 hours a year. Overtime and sick leave costs over $45 million on an annual basis. Research shows more RNs, staffed properly, and working in healthier environments will improve our healthcare system and save the province money. So when I meet with Moya Green, one of the first words out of my mouth will be, more full-time RNs will save a lot. As we redesign our healthcare system through the task force, it will also be so important to continue the work that we have done on clarity and promote the role of registered nurses and nurse practitioners. Our work isn't done, and now is not the time to take our foot off the gas on this project. We need to keep wearing our white and black. Patients want to know who is looking after them. Continue to showcase your value so patients understand what it means to be cared for by a registered nurse or a nurse practitioner, and what it means when RNs or NPs are missing from the system. We are crucial to the future of our healthcare system and to the health of our population. In a redesigned healthcare system, we need to make sure RNs and NPs are present in all areas of that system because of the impact that you have on patient care and patient outcomes. And we have many ideas to put forward. We've been putting them forward, and we have opportunities now through the task force and economic renewal to put these ideas out there again and generate more. Nurse practitioner-led clinics, which Mark referenced in his question to the minister this morning. Expanding opportunities for virtual care, and that virtual care being provided by nursing. Bringing back school nurses into our education system so that we can really focus on improving the social determinants of health. Those are just a few of the many ideas that RNs are generating in terms of what a redesigned system needs to look like. And at the center of it is the registered nurse. These are big things happening in our province, but there are also big projects underway to help transform our workplaces. One of my priorities during my time as your president is to address the real challenges being placed on members in relation to high workload. Workloads have been an issue year after year. I'm sure in every speech I've given to delegates, I've talked about workloads and understaffing and the impact of that on members and our patients. And yes, we have done some positive things along the way, but I am very excited that real long-term positive change is on the horizon. A core staffing review to assess the workload of registered nurses is set to begin in early 2021. It is our hope that through this process, we'll have a framework that can be applied to all workers across the province to assess core staffing requirements. Your employers are also about to launch a new workforce management system. This system will include an acuity-based staffing model. We have been calling for this. In fact, I went all the way to New Zealand to investigate their acuity-based model with my colleagues from the Canadian Federation of Nurses Unions. Upon my return, we met and presented New Zealand's model to government and employers. And we secured a commitment from them that we would move in this direction in our province. And this morning, we asked the question of the minister, are we going to do all of this work and actions be taken and the recommendations be implemented, or is it going to sit on a shelf? And I would have loved to have had to been a bit clearer on that, but from his words and from the conversations that I've had with the Minister of Health, with his colleagues in the department, with the Minister of Finance and employers, the intention of doing this work is to implement it. It's not just to do it and then ignore it. So I am feeling confident that we will see better staffing models in Newfoundland and Labrador in the future. I am looking forward to retirement, but a little piece of me is disappointed, as I said to the minister, that I will not be here to see these projects through to the end. But I'm also confident in your board and our RNU staff that this is something that we will be pushing no matter who is around that leadership table. Just imagine asking for more staff and your manager saying, yes, yes, you need more staff. Better yet, imagine that you won't even have to ask for help. Real-time data will show that your patient's acuity has changed, that your unit needs additional staff as a result, and staff are being sent and called in immediately to help. Isn't that a great workplace to look forward to? Moving to acuity-based staffing will be huge for healthcare in our province. RNU should be proud of the role we played in getting here. I know I am certainly proud. It is one of my greatest accomplishments to be able to move government in this direction. This will impact on everyone, not just registered nurses and nurse practitioners, but all healthcare providers, and most importantly, the patients who rely on our care. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be bumps along the way, and it won't be perfect, but at the end of the day, we will move to a staffing model that is based on real-time patient data and not a line on a budget or the number of patients in the on a unit. If we focus on that, on staffing to meet the needs of those who require our care, that model has to be better than the model we have today. Now, speaking of models, I'd like to talk for a minute about our current workforce model and ask you, is it really working for us? Will our model meet our workforce needs and workforce demands into the future? Today, over 20% of our members are casual. And even with more than 1,000 casual RNs, you still can't get time off. There are still 24-hour shifts, and there's excessive overtime. 40 years ago, when I graduated, I couldn't wait to get a permanent position. A permanent job was a good thing. My classmates, we were fighting over the permanent jobs. Today, we're seeing new grads prefer to take casual work, even if permanent jobs are available. And we're also seeing some of our permanent members give up their permanent work and move to a casual position. Why? One of the main reasons is because they want control over their lives. They want a better work-life balance. They want to be able to get time off when they need it. So they're sacrificing job security, paid benefits. They're sacrificing that to take a casual position. And many of those decisions are being driven by the workplace and challenges in the workplace. We have to do better at getting our staffing right. And initiatives like we just talked about, the core staff review and acuity-based model, will bring us there. I'm confident it will bring us there. Permanent jobs, when we get there, I believe will be more desirable because they will have reasonable workloads, because we'll be able to anticipate peaks in patient acuity, so you can anticipate needing to upstaff. You'll be able to forecast out in the future so you can grant people time off. In our last collective agreement, we tried a few new things. We altered the casual and temporary language. Now, these initiatives might not work. Maybe they won't make a bit of difference. But if it doesn't work, try another approach. And be proactive as a union. Don't wait for employers to bring their ideas and how they want to do it. Create your ideas. And those ideas, create them from the input of our members. Because we will know how if we make a change, we'll know that it will work. Because we understand what it's like to work 24/7, right? on Christmas and New Year's and what is like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night. We understand that, and we'll be able to create models that are able to acknowledge the real work that registered nurses and nurse practitioners are doing on the front line. Not everybody likes change, we all know that. But doing nothing and just continuing on with the current workforce model that we have is going to leave us in the exact same place. And that is with tired, exhausted nurses. But as you look for new ways, hold true to the fundamental principles of unionism. Being in a union should mean fair compensation, secure jobs, and paid benefits. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, push the envelope a little bit, as they say. And I figure after 24 years, I have some latitude to do that, and I'm leaving. So this is my last address, so I figure that I can get away with it. Casual work is not secure work. A casual worker might get full-time hours for 2 weeks, maybe even work overtime in that 2 weeks. And 2 weeks later, not a shift to be found. Maybe 2 weeks after that, one shift. There is no job security in a casual position. Pay in lieu of benefits does not provide security to our members either. It will not help the registered nurse who is diagnosed with cancer, has no sick leave, no annual leave, no family leave that they might be able to draw down on, and no employer drug plan. I believe casual RN should have access to all the benefits of our collective agreement and not just some of the benefits. Even if we ignore the fact that employers are getting off cheap with paying 20% in lieu of benefits, because we know the benefits, if you cost them out, cost way more than that. So even if we ignore that we're creating a cheaper workforce, a category of worker for employers and government, I'm going to put on my glasses now to see these comments. So even if we ignore that, and even if we can't ignore the fact that these workers are also without benefits. And I bring you back to the union basics. Secure jobs, fair compensation, secure paid benefits. Are we being true to our union principles? Food for thought, for sure. Something for you to chew on and think more about. So that was one limb I decided to go out on this morning, and I might as well even it up and go out on another limb. And I want to talk to you and give you my reflections on our union model, in particular how it relates to volunteerism. I believe in volunteerism, and I believe that our union is strong because we have volunteers in our union. I started as a shop steward and then moved on to a board position where, and both of those were volunteer roles. And it was a lot of work. But I believed in what I was doing, so I gave the work. A lot of it was on my time off. For over 45 years, ever since we created our organization in 1974, our organization has succeeded because of our volunteers on the ground. Because RNs and NPs like you, like our members out in virtual land, give so much of yourselves to make a difference and affect positive change for your coworkers and patients. I can't thank you enough for all you do. And I know this year has been particularly challenging. And we would not survive as a union without our volunteers. But volunteering is a very demanding role. And I would think we'd all agree that when I started volunteering in 1982, in 2020, 2021, we're in a different time. Life is moving at a faster pace. There are more demands on your work life and on your personal lives. Union issues, professional practice issues are getting more and more complex. Nothing is simple anymore, or not nothing. Few things are simple anymore. As our healthcare system and the world changes around us, it might be time for us to take a step back and ask ourselves, are we doing it right? Or is there a better approach? Ask ourselves, can we continue to ask branch executives, shop stewards, our provincial board members, to take calls at all hours at home, respond to countless emails, text messages, messages on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook posts on their own time. And on top of that, attend meeting after meeting after meeting with employers. Is it realistic to keep expecting that level of volunteerism? I don't have the answer standing here this morning. But I do believe that answering this question is connected to RNU's future success in cultivating new leaders. Again, food for thought. Preparing new leaders and succession planning at all levels of RNU will be key to enhancing member engagement. Technology will also play a big role in our engagement in the future. Just look at us today. Virtual convention, engaging with our members in their own homes, with leaders across the country. Many sessions will be on Facebook. We'll be engaging with the public. Technology will provide such great opportunities for RNU. And we have not been afraid as a union of technology. We've had a member-based and members-only forum on our web page since back in the early 2000s, almost 20 years now. We found a way to talk to our members. Our app, we just made changes to it and had to do an update. We've held Facebook meetings. Branches have held Facebook meetings. They've held virtual meetings. Branches are exploring ways to engage members through technology. And it's really important that RNU support branches in doing that. Our board will be going paperless at their first board meeting in January. Again, I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm not going to be there to see how all that works out. But a great decision and a bold decision by our board to go paperless. Part of that was protecting our environment, but it's also about utilizing technology so that we're better connected and we can communicate with each other in a better way. What are the potential opportunities out there? I'm also very pleased that your board approved a temporary communications position. It's an additional position to the position we already have. Communicating with members is crucial. I believe it's one of the greatest investments we can make is investing in ways to increase our communication with members. Some of that will be through technology. The board has made a decision that, well, if we're going to do that, we need people to help drive it. And of course, all of the digital media, social media avenues are just expanding. And there are opportunities there, and RNU needs to be present in those forums. I've always said, you know, communicate, communicate, communicate. If you start there, you can't go wrong. It's fundamental to everything we do. And remember, it's not just important to communicate to our members. We have other stakeholders too that we need to maintain our connections to. The public. They read our social media posts. Government, employers. These are all key stakeholders and partners that we work with. So communicating is not just to our members, it's much bigger than that. And I'm excited for RNU that you will have an extra resource yet next year to bring you even forward and beyond the great work that we have already been doing. Just as important as communicating is listening. Listening to our members. Membership research has become a cornerstone of RNU. There is so much power in knowing where your members stand on an issue. And there are so many examples of that I could share with you that I was involved in over the past 24 years. But I thought I would share a story from the year 2009. When we were gearing up and preparing for potential job action, and Danny Williams was Premier at the time. So in order to try to avoid job action, government kept sweetening the offer that they had given nurses. So they kept adding a little bit of this and adding a little bit of that. Now, none of their sweetening stuff was what our members were going on strike for. But the Premier said publicly that he had talked to many nurses, many nurse friends, people he's met out around, and they've all said that this is a good offer, they would accept this offer, and they didn't want to go on strike. And he said publicly at one point in time as well that he felt it was the leadership of RNU that wanted a strike and not the members. So we tried to inform and educate the Premier on that we're speaking on behalf of our members. He still felt that he knew our members better than we did. So we decided to put their offer out for a vote. And the result of that was a 64% rejection. Our research that we had done and we were basing our decision on was that 66% of our members would reject government's offer. Pretty darn close. And I learned yet again a valuable lesson through that process in that always listen to the members. Our member research told us they will vote no. We listened to it, and the result, that was the result. I am hopeful that Premier Williams learned a lesson on that day, and other premiers, government leaders, employers also learned a lesson that when the president of RNU speaks, he or she is speaking on behalf of the collective, not on behalf of an individual. As you prepare for the challenges that lie ahead, remember the strength and solidarity of our members when you come together to fight for what is right. When we are faced with critical issues, we are not afraid to take action. We saw this in the strike of 1999 and again in the near strike of 2009. The unity and solidarity of RNs and NPs is a powerful and incredible thing. The strength of the connected, the strength of the collective. Another story that isn't written here, but I do want to say, is I'll never forget 1999, having rallies on the steps of Confederation Building, not knowing if our members would show up. Well, didn't have to worry about that because they came out in the hundreds. Didn't matter the weather, the time of day, they were there with their picket signs and were as loud as I've ever heard any demonstration happen on Confederation Building. And we took our advocacy inside the Confederation Building. And I remember the sticks of the picket signs pounding on the floor. And at one point, someone said to us, "Mind the marble," because we were taking chips out of the marble with our picket signs. And after our strike of 1999, government decided that probably wasn't really safe to have registered nurses in the Confederation Building with their rallies. And after that, we were no longer allowed to bring rallies inside of the building. That was unity and solidarity like I had never seen or experienced before. When you stand up, the public also is there to support you, and they have been there to support us year after year after year. They trust registered nurses. They trust RNU. There may be times in the future when your leadership will call upon members to take a stand again. Draw on our history. Draw on the power from our experiences in 1999 and 2009. The power of these moments will build you up. Always believe in your ability to bring about change when you come together as one. As I look to my future, I will cherish all the times we've stood together and every moment that I have spent as your president. It has truly been an honor and a privilege. I will always be standing in your corner. Remember, there ain't no power like the power of the nurses, and the power of the nurses don't stop. Solidarity, my friends, solidarity. Thank you so much. So now I have to look and see what's next on the agenda. Oh, stretch break. And Yvette tells me I went over.
Actually, I think it was Dr. Hagee.
Oh yeah, I went over. Oh well, can't take the words back, so we'll make it up. I knew I could never do it in 20 minutes, so that was just it. So before we take a stretch break, I just have some announcements, and I think this is really important that we get in before our break. So deadline for resolutions is today at 3:30 p.m. Resolutions can be submitted directly to RNU's Resolution Committee. Mark Aylward and Krista Philpott sit on that committee. And you can email them if you have a resolution to submit. Mark's email address is maylward@rnu.ca, and Krista is cphilpott@rnunl.ca. Remember, deadline 3:30 today. In lieu of proceeds that we usually collect from 50-50 draws and our silent auction, which we have always given to Oxfam and the CFNU International Solidarity Fund, RNU will donate monies to both of these causes on your behalf, because we're not able to do those events at our convention. Branches are also encouraged to donate to a charity in your region in lieu of the gift that you typically bring to convention for either our silent auction or as a giveaway. Pick a charity in your region and support those who are really struggling this time of year. Our meeting will convene, I'll give you a time. Our meeting will convene at 10:45. And we'll do a review of the meeting rules, use of the webcast platform, and a credentials vote. So I'm giving you 15 minutes for a coffee break versus the original 20. I do encourage you during our breaks is to step away from your screen, go off, get yourself some water, coffee, tea, some fluid, little snack. But try, because this is going to be a long day looking at a computer screen. So the recommendation is to give your eyes a break from your screen during our break times. And we'll see you back again in 15 minutes. Thank you.